there doing what you love with the people that you love.
Oh.
Sounds like I did top it.
That should be a t-shirt.
I think we're going to have to hand back in a minute and go for a cry, a lot of us over here. Okay, girls, thank you so much. Best of luck, of course, for the rest of the tour. We will see you again, no doubt. It really has been a real pleasure having you up here. Thank you so much. Now, we are literally moments away from the next game. It's the men's 40, France versus Ireland. So I'm going to hand back to your commentators to take you through the action. Enjoy.
Well, the sun's come out finally at the University of Nottingham, Highfields Sports Complex. My name's Chris Wearmouth. I'm coming in to give Jonathan Bullard's vocal cords a much needed break after 8 hours almost of commentary during the course of the day, and we're going to be bringing you next the men's 40s round robin match between France and Ireland. Both of these teams have played one game already today. France won theirs against Scotland 12-6, whereas Ireland lost 2-10 to Jersey. England-Wales we saw on field one earlier on, with England beating Wales 9-4. I'm delighted to say Ben Meakin, resplendent in his shades now.
Good afternoon. I had my rain back on earlier, but sunny's around now.
Yeah, you were threatening a slidometer when we were doing our production meeting last night, and unfortunately it didn't materialise. But it was a shame, because I think at lunchtime you'd have been sliding in from a little bit longer out today. But that's all gone now that the sun's come out again.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think my knees would have held up from a couple of weeks ago either. Still got scars all over them, so maybe not. Maybe we'll get Mel Day to do that for us.
So we're seeing France are going to tap off. Playing from right to left as we look.
Have they got the best kit in the tournament?
France?
Yes.
They signed up with Le Coq Sportif, I think, which is the same kit as the national team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also Racing 92 as well.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And it is beautiful. It is very, very nice.
Two-tone blue.
Very French. But I really like it.
La Bleue Française. With Ireland going from playing from left to right in the white, with green and the occasional light orange as well, to match their national colours. So men's 40s. This is the kind of period of time where as a 43-year-old, I'm definitely not up to speed in this category. But it's the kind of time where physically it's going to be where multi-game days at 40 minutes is going to start to play havoc with people's legs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be challenging, to say the least. I don't envy these guys at all. I don't think I'll ever be playing when I'm over 40, especially with my knees currently. So I don't envy these guys, but they're running around. They're running really well as well. And France are looking to attack early off, and
just a bit of a show and go, threatening to get the ball wide, but he keeps the ball himself. Does number 6, numero 6, Marc Lajus.
So for anyone that's watched Touch before, watched this team, or watched men's 30s, we actually spoke about the French men's 30s from 2012, and they won that championships, and that team has now progressed to be in the men's 40s. You've got Mark, who everyone knows as the Silver Fox, and he is very good. He has always been good, runs a very good quickie and static game, and he's just shown us what he can do there.
And it was all created really by the sleight of hand and the dummies, and the running around him as well just froze. The Irish defence almost like rabbits in headlights.
Yes, absolutely. He's done that to the best of us, really, and he continues to do it now. But then I've just noticed number 5 for France, Jérôme Denale, he actually plays for London Galaxy in the Development Touch Series. So you'll see him at half right now. He used to play in the NTS Series. I think obviously as his age has got on and the Galaxy players have come through the ranks to win the NTS, he's got dropped down to the Development, but still running around at Euros.
Lovely step and go there from the French number 4. I think the French 44. That's Olivier Noël. Lovely hands as well from William Palerme. And France have earned themselves a penalty. Ireland failing to get back to the goal line. And France have the ideal situation with which to extend their lead. Just the first touch there from Nicolas Eschwege.
It'll be interesting to see what France set up there. They're going to send a sweeper. So the referee's just given another penalty here.
Yeah, this time it's for not advancing or pulling out early. So you've got to keep advancing when you're in the 7-metre line as the defence. But now it's Ireland on alert. If they give away another penalty, they will lose a player to the naughty step for the remainder of that passage of play. Wilfred Malvone, 33. He passes it off to Stéphane Chanchibot.
Here comes Mark. I tell you, he will look to be setting up exactly the same thing. He's actually going to go for a 33 quickie. And oh no, I mean, there's not a lot that can happen here.
There's good. Yeah, that's Jérôme Denat. Sorry, not Stéphane Chanchibot here on this near side. Unfortunately, the referee is half his size. And maybe he didn't see her because that was destined seemingly for try number 2.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, one of those things.
Referees are movable objects and they can't always get out of the way, unfortunately. And at that point, they couldn't. So we have to just move on. It's not a controllable from the attack. They have to just control what they can here.
Yeah, and Ireland need to, having had that let off, that's Dara Irwin. Takes the play over the halfway line. Lovely little swerve and go, but there was a touch just on the way through, the faintest of touches. But this is a game of honesty, and that was given. And this time, ball goes into touch from Ireland, and it'll be a restart to France. And this is going to be a restart. Stéphane Chanchibot taps and goes. So we're just having a little bit of confusion about the restart.
Throwing the ball around.
But Ireland were taken back fully 15 metres. But this gives France plenty of space to play with, but they're looking to get fresh legs on that far side. And here they come. There's the first touch. The try scorer, Marc Lajus, gets some pace going, and then a bit of weaving. And hey presto, here comes that French handling. And all of a sudden, they are on the front foot and putting the pedal to the metal. Olivier Arnal takes the touch. He gets the ball back off the floor. Here comes Jérôme Denale, the aforementioned Jérôme Denale, with a stylish pepper pot, salt and pepper, should I say?
And with the sleeves rolled up, because he is got some big muscles in, and I'd be rolling my sleeves up if I was like him as well.
Sun's out, guns out.
Oh, absolutely.
But this time, France.
Those guns didn't work that time, unfortunately.
No, they didn't. The guns did not fire on this occasion. Ireland get let off again, but it's only a matter of time for France to extend their lead, but they just need maybe a little bit more composure in and around that 7-metre line. And Ireland this time, well, they get some good pace going forward. And half gets caught, though.
Dummy half was caught, so Ireland have got over the halfway for probably the first or second time, and they just got some momentum, which was quite nice to watch. But France's midfield defence currently is probably winning them out the game so far. So we'll see if they can continue to do that, or if Ireland can get over the top of them.
Yeah, very impressive so far, this French outfit. As you say, they won their opening game very comfortably, whereas Ireland lost to Jersey in their first game. Both of these teams will have to play England later in the week, but here come France. Oh, what a lovely, it's hit the brakes and they'll fly right by for Olivier Noël.
Yeah, absolutely. So he runs a 32 short, so as he the dumper dumps the ball on the defensive middle, he runs a nice short line, He then puts on the brakes. You can now see the moulds on the bounds on the ground where he's stamped into them and stepped back. So no one shut on him, and he's got a nice big hole to walk into.
It's like he'd just had some new brake pads fitted at his MOT.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a few of these need a MOT.
But here come Ireland, 2 down. They're going to need to score if they're going to stay in this, and that's not really a heavy touch. I think it's the player off balance. That's Nigel, number 6. But now come Ireland looking to spread the play. That was Charles Gannon who put the ball out to the wing.
6th touch. Good defence by France there.
But it's the thing where Ireland needs to establish more patterns of play deep in that French half, because the only time they've got up to that 7-metre line is when they've tapped off from halfway. France now, Jerome Denali, is that giving us a loss of control? Nope, they're just going to take the touch.
Good sportsmanship by both players there. I think the referee's just allowed the game to play on.
Jerome Denali, he with the guns out and the cutter. Has he rolled those up, or has he cut the sleeves off?
I really hope he's cut the sleeves off, but he can't have, can he?
You know, he's gone old school David Soul back from the early 90s.
Even I don't even know who that is.
I'm now showing. I'm showing definitely.
Everyone on the pitch would know.
Everybody on the pitch would know, and I know because I'm the same age as some of these people on the pitch. David Soul played loosehead for Scotland back in the early 90s, and when he would scrum down against Jeff Probyn, but he would cut his. He did what Jerome Denali's done.
Hasn't he? He's cut them off. Oh, he's done, and he looks great. To be fair, if I look half as good as that at 40, I will be cutting my sleeves as well.
I think he's 40 and then some. I think he was playing 40s. He won the gold medal with France in 2018. I think Jerome Denali was their captain.
Did he? So this team is, like I said earlier in the game before, this French team's been together for a while, and I think it probably showed in that first game where they won, and it's currently showing that they kind of got that cohesion and they all know what they're doing.
And here they come on the short line. The pace is going. That just died a death. It's Nicolas Eschwege just died a death on that pass, but we saw the try scorer Olivier Noel. He put some real pace on going through the middle there for the French as they put Ireland onto the back foot. But here come Ireland looking to get some fresh legs on, and they're getting some good
if they can
go
keep
forward
this momentum, they'll get a good strike on 5th. They've got one more until 5th, so it's now 5th. They should be looking to scoop.
Just no pace.
Yeah, they've just lost like momentum, unfortunately. They're getting to their own halfway line, they're getting some substitutes on, and then their substitutes aren't actually driving forward to give them that momentum and that 5th touch scoop.
Thanks to Jono, who's taken time out from his break to help with some pronunciations.
Just missed what the referee's called there, but Ireland look like they've got a penalty at least. So
well, yeah, this is the first time they're going to have a chance to build slightly deeper into the French half.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see what they're looking to run in their attack. You know, what their setup plays are. Currently, we're not sure because they've not had many touches. They need to get a bit closer to the line, to that dash 7-metre line to get an opportunity. They're going to run an a scoop it was, and the long ball again died a death and just went to the floor.
Just talk me through the defensive system that France were playing there, because it looked to be kind of either a slow pistons or, and you can explain this to me in English, but like a slow pistons or alternatively like a pocket defence there?
Yeah, so essentially they're sending one defender up to try and make a couple of touches, and by doing that, if hopefully that person makes the touch, everyone else is relatively close to the line to get back on side within, very quickly to then get that scooper and to stop them from throwing the ball. So it works, but with the new rules of hanging back, sometimes there is a few flaws to it, but I think that's most defensive policies in touch. There's always flaws because we play an attacking sport.
And now Ireland, who had got back to within their 7, had to advance. They were not advancing, and France now have 6 touches 10 metres out from the Irish line. Jerome Denali, ball in hand. There's no touch there.
That was clearly no touch, but the referees definitely made the right call here. So, as you were saying earlier, Chris, once the defence enter that 7-metre hash line, they have to advance forward, and as soon as they start retreating and not making forward advancement, they have to give a penalty. So that was the right call.
Jerome Denali, you've been bigging up his silky skills every time he's been on the field, and it pays off then with the scoring pass as France make it 3, and there's a bit of a chat happening between the referee.
There's a lot of hand wavering going on right now, but let's go back to that score. It was a sweeper. Jerome then picked up and went short side, and the link just chopped his hole, and a nice easy score. And the handbags after, I don't really know what it was about, but the referees seem to want to get the game going again.
Olivier Arnal, number 14 there with the score. Numero 15, I think.
Have you been practicing?
No.
Neither have I.
But I'm going to Vichy next week with the for the Junior Touch Championships, and going to go and do some photography, some videography, and I haven't been to France since before the pandemic, so.
It's not
14, 14, cans. So it's properly blown off the rust on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good time to practice before you go. We went. Our club team went to play in France a couple of months ago. It's a lovely place to play touch. You know, you've got the sun, you've got good food, good people around you, and you can always enjoy it. And here goes Silver Fox again. Maybe I shouldn't be saying Silver Fox, but he definitely is. Look at him.
It's just a scoop there from Marc Lejus. Opened the scoring with the first score. This time he couldn't score because he was the half, but there was just no support there. I think he was completely outpaced the link and the winger on this team, and Ireland's defence holds firm.
I think he outpaced his own team as well. Really, he ran away from them, and they couldn't get to anyone in time. And again, some of the guys might not be as quick as they used to be, whereas I feel like Mark still running at the same pace he was when he was 19.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things where you're never sure.
Oh, here we go.
If I think that's gone a bit forward as well. Potentially, yeah, that's been given as a forward pass. It's one of those things when he says running as fast as he did when he was 19. That either implies that you had no pace when you were 19, or you're a ridiculously fast 40-something.
I'm going to go, because I don't know him as a 19-year-old, so I'm going to go as a ridiculously fast 40-something, probably even late 40s, 50s, but he runs really, really well. I've faced him many a time. Again, we faced him when we went to France in our club competition, and he runs rings around people still. I don't know how he does it. His conditioning for his age is impeccable, so it's something that I aspire to be when I'm that age, definitely.
And of course it will benefit him playing against the likes of NQ Rebels and other European teams who are dominated by open players.
This is Jouet! Oh no! Ireland have been really unfortunate here. It was actually some really nice play. There was two cuts from France where the defensive Irish player was chasing. They've then cut on them. They did it again. They've then thrown the ball back, and unfortunately Ireland got the hands on, so it means France have got another set of 6 to try and get another score.
Nicolas Lemoyne there is the man who did that lovely pass.
Yeah, it was lovely.
But Ireland are going to have to work hard now to hold France out as we come 5 minutes to play in this opening half of this men's 40s round robin match. 6 teams in the half, and Ireland are they're having real problems with this play in and around the 7-metre line, whether it's a combination of retreating early, so you've got to keep advancing as we've been talking about, or just not making the line back. They're having some serious problems on their discipline.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the French attackers are playing with them a little bit. Oh, that is a brilliant score. I think that was Jerome again. He's then got a 32 short. He's hit the nice short line. He's then got on the outside of his defensive mid. He's then just turned his body to the right and got the ball down with a nice roll dive, really.
Yeah, he's attacked the defender who's retreating back to the goal line, who has to go in a relatively straight line. David White was the man who made that previous touch and then getting back that 7 metres is really tough, and unfortunately he didn't quite make that, wasn't able to adjust his line. Jerome Denali does just trying to think of a decent winger there in terms of a finish. That was a great dive, one-handed.
It's more of a rugby league finish rather than a rugby union finish. I went to the more sevens as well. I went to the sevens on Sunday for the Commonwealth, and there was some finishes like that, and you just think he's been watching the cameras too much.
It never ceases to amaze me, especially when you're watching Super League and the NRL, just how good the wingers are at finishing in tight spaces. Absolutely sensational, and especially in Australia where they all grow up playing touch. And that was the thing about the Australian women's team as well.
We spoke about that earlier, me and Jono.
Half of them have played Australian touch.
Especially the women's team, it makes a massive difference that they can throw 30 metres, they can run they can step, and that all comes from touch because they've been playing for so long.
Final touch there from the French, but again, some of that jouet handling. And they look like they're just enjoying themselves, France. They're not really. I think there's definitely some more gears to come from this French team today if they need to step it up.
Yeah, I agree with that, but that's a tournament as well. This is only day 1 of 5, so these guys are going to want to look after their bodies, go through the gears, and hopefully be at 6th, 7th gear, depending if you're Formula 1 car or not, on day 5 and for the finals.
Ireland then just run a short line. Oh, the swerve we've been talking about. There's Antoine Dupont at one end, it's Brian O'Driscoll at the other, and that's just a little bit of a swerve.
Yeah, so it's a link for the wing dump, and it's just a bit of a sideway motions, and he goes round them, and he goes in with a nice score with a dive.
Andrew Selby finds his inner Casper to ghost his way through the defence there.
He absolutely does.
But that's exactly what Ireland needed. They've been on the back foot for the majority of this half so far. So to be 4-1 down as the half-time hooter approaches.
Yeah, they haven't had much attack ball, have they? So when they've got down there, they need to make it count, and they definitely did that time, and hopefully they can do it a few more times.
Jerome Denali's the half. He can't get touched. Passes it inside to Olivier Arnal. Both of them have scored tries so far today. Here comes Jerome Denali on the scoop. Finds the pass. Nicolas Lemoyne is there to support. We've seen scoops not work for the French as the supporters ran out. This time the supporters there, and France strike back to restore the 4-try lead coming into the final minute before half-time.
Yeah, again, we've just got the two defensive middles both pulling corners, so that then creates a big hole through the middle, which Jerome's gone through, and the French evades his his defensive player, dots the ball down just before the dead ball line.
Now here come Ireland. Can they get a much needed second try just before half time? They're finding it tough against a French defence which has stayed really solid and very structured, and you see that structure again. The previous winger comes in to link to shut things down, and they swap places, and it's making life very, very difficult for Ireland, and they fail that exam. France restarts 8 metres out, one more touch before the break. And Ben, I think it's a fair enough scoreline, but France have definitely left at least 2 out there.
Yeah, at least. But I also think Ireland have left 1 out there as well. So we should have had a few more scores. But I definitely think the French are the better side on that first half.
Let's have a look at the first half tries then. So this one was the opener from Marc Lejus, and just rounding the defence, showing some good footwork on the wrap to dot down. And the second, again, some intricate play from the French just to tie in Ireland's defence, hitting the short line, slam. Oh, that was just...
It was the twinkle toes, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, Olivier Noël, 44. This time Jerome Denali, he fixes his defender and then finds Olivier Arnal, and Denali was going to get on the score sheet again. But this time, that's some lovely... Again, what the French seem to be able to do is just to fix their defenders. They are causing Ireland's defence nightmares.
Yeah, it's very much like their rugby union team. Actually, they like to run. They like to get on the outside, and then once the defender commits themselves so much that they pop the ball back inside and then use that space inside them.
Not necessarily the most intricate play to create that score for Jerome Denali, but definitely the finish of the half so far. And this is Ireland's sole try, and again, that was a lovely finish. This time, it's a rare breakdown from the French defence, just made by just hitting a gap just behind the defender. And you were talking earlier on about how France are sending one defender up, and sometimes it can backfire on you, just like it did just then from Ireland, even though they then conceded just before the half. Yeah,
absolutely. If you're sending up the wrong player or they're not sure what they're doing, then it can create a big dog leg, and that's what happened in that score. And Ireland got on the score sheet.
It has been almost a perfect weather day for the older age categories today, hasn't it? It's low to mid-20s. We had the rain at lunchtime. It was a bit of a breeze, still a bit of a breeze. And when you look at the forecast, particularly Friday, Saturday, it's going to be hot and it's going to be sunny.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any touch player that's played 3, 4, 5 days, they want it to be warm. So when they actually go and warm up for their 13th, 14th time, they want to be warm. And when the weather's as hot as it is, it does help just that little bit to get you moving again.
We'll be back in just a couple of minutes' time, not least because Ben's got some lunch, which he's been waiting several hours for.
I've been drooling over it.
So you have your lunch. We'll be back in a couple of minutes for the second half of this men's 40s game. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
We have 2 bets today. One of our 27 players,
Players and officials, this is your 1 minute warning. Players and officials, 1 minute warning.
Few have just joined us, even if it was 3 minutes ago. Ben Meakin is currently working through his burger, but I'm going to leave him to Karen working through his burger. Just to tell you a little bit about where we are here all week, if you are in the East Midlands, or even if you're a little bit further afield and fancy coming down and checking out some international touch, then we are at the University of Nottingham's Highfields Sports Centre, the Sports University of the Year 2019 and 2021, as you can see on their bleachers over on the far side, which will be packed when it comes to Saturday afternoon, and fully looking forward to the Men's Open, because I think we'll have a very quick chat about that, Ben, just before this starts. I think when you look at some of the results, I think this is going to be a three-way competition between France, Ireland and England.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, I've just finished my burger, so apologies. I think this morning has shown that there's been, I wouldn't say shock results, but results that are probably a little less unexpected, and it means that France, Ireland and England are all going to be competing for that European Championship, and it's a welcome change really. If you look at what England men have done for the last few championships, it's nice to get some competition.
And that's a loss to France, and I've not seen the latest results from the last round of matches, but it was England's only loss of the day so far, so unfortunately, but I know that for that case, sticking with our very parochial England hat on, but Tim Osborne and Jeff Bimpton and Martin Wright are going to really have had a stern chat with the lads since then.
Yeah, absolutely. So England Men's Open in the European Championships haven't lost since, and we've just got a score on the wing by France here, so we'll just run that and then I'll go back to the point I was making about England.
Yeah, it's lovely over, just the winger just unmarked on that far side, created by...
So this is just a quickie setup again, everyone's on the outside, he's on the outside and the wing is free and he just dots it down. So yeah, going back to my comments about England. They've not lost since 2012 since the 2012 final when they lost to Scotland. And sometimes you actually, every time you lose more, you learn more from a loss than you do from winning. So it might be the kick up the bottom, shall we say, that England need to move forward, or it might work in against them, and it gives France and Ireland the impetus to go on and go over the top of them. We'll see.
Talking of France and Ireland, and we'll come back to the game that's just in front of us, because the France men's 40s team in blue, their traditional blue, playing from left to right as we're looking, starting to put on a little bit of a masterclass. They've obviously had a talking to at half time to say we are better than we played in that first half, and it's just a little bit of a shutdown there from Nicolas Lemoyne, who just got touched on the way through, seeming as if the winger was open again. But France have obviously given themselves a good talking to. We said they left at least a couple of tries out there in the first half. Jerome Denali, it's him with the twink. What a lovely bit of footwork there from the tall man with the cut-off sleeves, and he creates try number 7 for the French.
Or has he? Referees are deliberating on this one, but they've both put their hands across with the swipe, and the referee puts his palm up, and that is the score. You're right, again, twinkle toes. He's actually watched his defensive middle. The defensive middle's pulled his corner towards the defensive right. He's then pulled short, so gone through the middle again, and he looked like he was going to run out, but he's managed to pop the ball over for the score. I'm not sure who actually scored that one.
But Jerome Denali, number 5, and Marc Lejus, number 6, have really been France's key playmakers, and as the week goes on, you're going to need to keep an eye very much on them.
Yeah, absolutely. They've played at the highest level for a long, long time, both club level, international level, World Cups, European Championships, and they know what they're doing. You know, everyone says you lose it in the feet and the body, but the mind continues ticking, and when you play at this level, everyone's in the same kind of shape as you, so if your mind's even as 5% better, you're going to get over the top.
Stephen Kavanagh got touched on the way down, but Ireland now have a touch still to play. Little bit of a juggle. Peter Dolgaruki just gets touched on the way down there for Ireland. 6 touch and turnover, but that was some nice set-up play from the Irish, asking a few questions of the French defence, but France have the answers. And here comes try scorer Marc Lejus. This time he's acting a bit of playmaker off the floor, finds Olivier Matty, and now it's Lejus again to Matty. And he's just dropped going forward. And here come Ireland. They need some tempo going, and here it comes. They want to get a quick restart. They want to ask questions, but that's a loss of control, unfortunately. Referee Mike Davis.
Oh, we need some Ireland players on the pitch, otherwise there's going to be a walk-in. But they've panicked, which you said in that last game. There's nothing more than the panic when your team leave you and you have to all run on and substitute at that point and start defending. There's not panic like it.
This is going to be an interesting call now, because they're giving... So the Irish were asking if France had fumbled it, and either the referee hadn't seen it or he thought that everything was fine, but he's been given a penalty, I think, for a bit of back chat. That's grounded short anyway. There's a touch and grounded short. That's Olivier Matty. He was asking questions, or interplaying superbly with Marc Lejus, and the two of them combine again right in the middle. There's a smell of, you can see the steam, smoke coming off the South African braai. Drifts across this field 1. I think everybody's going to be wanting some of that for dinner when they come off. This is their second game, second of 2 today for the men's 40s.
Get on the recovery after that. Oh, great footwork.
And that's a second of the half for that far side winger, and when he turns around we'll let you know his name, but that's the second time he's been on the receiving end. The first time was Jerome Denali, who I think fizzed the pass. The second one was Marc Lejus, and that is Christophe Guérin-Langlois.
Yeah, so again, Silver Fox has just picked the ball up. He's stood his defender up one-on-one. He's gone round him, and the winger was open, and it's a really good long ball to get there, and it's a simple dot down in the end.
Ireland defending tight, and France are not afraid to go round over the top and round the outside to score. play on for the Irish. Ball was flying about on the deck before it got picked up, but everything can carry on, and Ireland need to get a score. It's just a little bit of unfortunate handling there for the Irish, but it's been given as a penalty for a late pass.
Yeah, Ireland are getting into all the right positions, really. It's just that last pass or that last thought to make sure that they're getting the score. So even if they take 5% off or a bit less speed, they'll then get that. I think they'll get a few more scores.
Fingers crossed they do, because I think this needs to become a little bit more competitive. I mean, for the neutral, you want it to be a bit more competitive. I think, obviously, from a French persuasion, you are loving this. We saw his twinkle toes in the first half, Olivier Noël, and here he goes again, this time in attack. It's a little bit further out, and it's put France into the attack, deep into the Irish half, and they've got a penalty. Once again, Ireland conceding a penalty in their 7, on or around their goal line, and it's no surprise given the pace that the French attacked. Here comes the tap from William Palerme, and that is try number 9 for France.
Yeah, and just the guy with the long socks, he just makes a big right foot step after making the touch. After tapping the penalty, and just goes around his player and walks in, really. So is that 9 now?
Yep, that's 9 up for the French. And that time I think the link just assumed that he would have to pass the ball as the half, because that's what will normally happen in that situation. But from a tap, the person who tapped it can score, and that's what happened. So a little bit of a breakdown, a little bit of lack of concentration in the Irish defence, but they have had to work hard today, particularly deep in their own half. And that's a heavy touch in attack.
Yeah,
It's overstepping the mark maybe, but it's certainly.
I think you're probably right as well. He's put his arm out, and that's actually caused him to go over the mark. So it's a bit of both. Probably the right call from the referee.
France, who have impressed with their pace and directness and a lot of their handling. This is a complete performance we're seeing from the French. They get away with a bit of a bounce ball at the roll ball there, but if you get away with things, you want to make the most of them, and that's what they're doing. Jerome Denali is beckoning the defenders to come to him.
He's wanting them to come up, isn't he? Because that means they have to take a lot more time to get onside, and he's just shown the reason why.
Yeah, and the touch was made, but the defender didn't get back to the goal line. Play through comes the call. Jerome Denali gets his second.
He's playing well, isn't he?
Jerome, yeah, I think I've been really impressed by Jerome Denali, number 5. We said Marc Lejus, number 6, but also their other mids and the other players stand out. Olivier Noël, who's got that little bit extra. He's got that stardust really to break a game open.
This game is obviously about speed. It's about passing the ball, but if you've got all of that plus agility, you can go a long, long way. And he's shown a couple of times now he can go around people with ease with his footwork, and yeah, he's shown that he can do that. As Ireland just dropped the ball again, so France will come on the attack, look to sub off as they always do, and get a transition to see which one of their playmakers come on and try and scoop and get a score.
It's interesting they've kept the far winger. He scored 2 this half, Christophe Guérin-Langlois, number 9. And he stayed on the whole time and has helped create the opportunity for France to go over for try number 11. Wilfried Malveau, as France are sharing the love when it comes to the tries now.
Well, we're talking about twinkle toes and speed. He's just swept on here, and he just keeps running and running and running. Gets through 2 players, and he's got a swarm of Irish players around him, and no one can make the touch.
Yeah, he just seemed to get the momentum going from about 15 metres out of shot, just popping onto Marc Lejus' pass. And it's no surprise that they are both off the field.
Yeah, going back to your point about the wingers, so in touch you're only allowed 14 players in a match day, match squad, and you try and use as many players as you can between your middle and links, because they're the ones technically doing all the sprinting work, not the long distance running but the intense running, so they're looking to the ones that sub, whereas our wingers are trying to be a bit more anaerobic, as French has come down for another 32 short. And there's the winger that we were talking about. Has he got the footwork as well? He has. Has he got the dive? He doesn't need it, and he's in.
Stefan Shanshabot. We saw him be denied in the first half because we had a referee and him collide. I was going to try and put it a little bit politer than that, but they got in each other's way, should we say? But this time there's absolutely no denying the winger. And like we said, they've kept both their wingers on, so what they've in effect got are 3 pods
Of four.
and are able to rotate and, as you say, to keep legs slightly fresher for this, for, as you said in the first half, what's very important as you get older.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice little pop. Was it forward? I think it might be forward. Referees are deliberating over it. He steps back, gives a penalty. What's he given the penalty for? Not advancing
not
forward,
advancing.
I believe.
Yep, not advancing.
So normally teams, it's very European based, where they play in pod systems, where they play 3 pods of 4, and that's because they want to be in the same positions with the same players every single time they're on the field, so everyone knows what they're doing. And it's definitely a benefit of some. Sometimes it can be the downside if someone gets injured, but if no one's injured, then the positives definitely outweigh the negatives.
We're staying with the Masters division next up here on Field 1 as Mark Lugis threatens to break open the game once again. Calcutta Cup game, England against Scotland, that's coming up at 4:25. And then at 5:15 we have the Women's Open between Wales and Ireland, and then the final game of the day is at 6:05, the Men's Open. Finishing the day as we started it, but this time it's going to be Scotland and Wales.
3 really good games actually. I was just looking at them. You've got England, Scotland and Wales and Ireland in the women's 35s first and then Women's Open. 2 really competitive games, and that's what we want from Field 1, as many competitive games to showcase our sport.
What's great to see in the women's 35s, just a very quick preview of that, is to see that 4 years ago there were only England and Scotland playing in the women's 35s, and this year they've got 6 teams, I think, in the division.
Really? So we were actually speaking about the age groups and how they should develop over the years. So if you look at the Southern Hemisphere, touch players start from when they're 5 and they go to age grades, they go to Opens, then they go to seniors and Masters. Whereas in England we haven't got that depth yet, but the depth is starting to be built, and you can see that now with the 2 teams going to 6 in the women's 35s, and that's really good for the depth of European touch.
And we're seeing, talking of strength in depth, the French men's 40s, the reigning European champions in this age category, and they are showing exactly why they could very well be favourites this time around for the same crown, because they have been very, very impressive against Ireland.
I would say clinical. I know it was 2 scores in the first that they probably left out there, but clinical again, running through the link hole after just a 32 long. And yeah, I would say it's very clinical at the moment.
Christophe Faisole, sorry, my French pronunciation, as you can tell, is appalling.
Do you realise why I've not said one French name yet?
And you've been to France more recently than me.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to try and pretend. I'm not going to try and pretend to be Eddie Butler with my pronunciation.
I made a fool of myself out there. I'm not doing it again. So
we will improve for day 2 and day 3 and day 4 and day 5.
Just as the touch players are.
Absolutely, and everybody's starting to really click into gear here at the European Touch Championships. It's been 3.5 years since there was any international touch. Well, on this kind of scale. Obviously, we had the autumn series in Manchester last September, which included Ireland, but I don't think they played a bit of men's 40s.
No, I don't believe they did either.
But but in terms of this scale, and you're starting to see the teams just start to remember what it's like to play at this level.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a different kettle of fish really when you're running with your club and trying to run hard. There's nothing like international touch. The speed of it at any age grade, because it's obviously that's why you play age grade, and the speed's always going to be a big factor. As the ball didn't bobble,
no, it's been play on from the referee. I think Jerome Denali was asking if there was a bit of a body check.
I think the far sideline referee has just said that there was a ball down, which I probably agree with. So it should now be an Ireland roll ball, which they've got on quickly. And Jerome's trying to talk to the referee, trying to make them change their mind, but I think I, for one, know that they're not going to.
Yeah, that try was not given. So Ireland having had a let-off, but this contest was over by the half-time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes when you're 4 or 5 down, I don't think it was about the score at half-time. I think it was about the showing. And France were definitely the most complete team in that first half, and they've definitely dominated the second one as well.
And France came firing out of the blocks in the start of the second half, after having left a couple out there. But I don't think they've left any out there today. I mean, maybe that last one, but that was that was not from a poor pass or anything like that. That was just a little fumble on the deck, which was picked up.
Yeah, and I think what we were just saying a moment ago, where teams are trying to build, you're building from half one to half two in each game, and if you can get better each half, each game, then when you make those finals or the final day and France just go over for another one, it's a very similar score to a fair few others where the middles are getting on outside of their defensive middles and the links are just chopping holes and going straight through, and it's a nice simple pass and another score for France.
Yeah, that was Nicolas Eschwege going over for the score, but it was Olivier Noël. Now, we talked about his dancing feet in the first half and also in the second, but that time I think maybe Ireland were worried about those dancing feet, and it just creates creates the space.
When you've got dancing feet, you then start to cause indecision between the defence, and obviously at that time he got on the outside. The defensive link thought he was going to score, so he came in, and it left a big hole on the outside of him. Maybe he just should have just stayed out a little bit.
Ireland now seeking just a consolation. Their only try came in the first half, and by then the game was virtually gone for them. And that's a 6-touch and a turnover.
Bit of confusion with the referees. I think they were talking about the subbing, and it's just over a minute to go, minute and a half to go. France will look to try and go 70 metres again and try and get another score.
And you wouldn't put it past them, would you?
Absolutely not. The speed that they run with is really causing the Ireland defence a lot of stress, I would say.
And here come Marc Legis. He opened the scoring 40 minutes ago, and here he is setting up a strike play on the Irish 7-metre line. Will he finish things off?
Potentially he will.
He scored the first, he scores the 15th, and this is a comprehensive win for France. And I think we talked about their speed, we've talked about their skill. The third S is stamina, and to play 40 minutes like that, as intense as that, is very impressive.
It is indeed, it absolutely is. It's quite a warm day, so playing at that speed, and yeah, you're right, the stamina to go 40 minutes is very impressive. And you know what, I'm going to put it out there, I think they'll win this championship in the 40s category. Even with my England hat on, I think they might, and that pains me to say.
Well, they are going to be playing England tomorrow, and we will keep an eye on how that result is. And France can now just see out the last 15 seconds with a penalty, but they opt to roll ball, and Jerome Denali points upfield, and France can now just relax, take that final touch, and will be able to head off for their recovery and their evening meal. Maybe even they will be tempted by the smoke and the smell of the braai to our left.
I think we all should be, and I think they'll probably have a glass of red after that performance as well.
Well, congratulations to France. Thanks very much to Ben. We will see you later today, or if not later today, we will see you tomorrow. Jono will be back to bring you the Women's 35s round robin between England and Scotland in just under 5 minutes' time. And go make yourself a quick cold drink or a warm drink, and then rejoin us.
Just a quick announcement for Welsh team, the Welsh pension. Congratulations to Nick